Most marketing advice is optimized for motion. Very little is optimized for momentum. And that distinction matters more than a lot of people realize because motion feels productive. You're posting, you're testing, you're launching, you're trying new angles. It feels like progress. But momentum is different. Momentum is when your efforts start reinforcing each other. When what you say last month makes what you say today stronger. When your positioning sharpens your content and your content reinforces your positioning. The problem isn't tactics either. Tactics are powerful. The problem is tactics without core ideas underneath them. When every campaign is disconnected from the last one, when every hook is a reset, when every launch changes the story, nothing compounds. You might see spikes, but spikes, they're not momentum. They're moments. And if your marketing is built on moments instead of meaning, you'll always be starting over. For context, my name is Colin. I'm a full-time chief marketing officer, and on this channel, I like to talk about how marketing actually works when you step back from the noise and start thinking in systems instead of reactions. Because if your marketing doesn't build on itself, it eventually exhausts you and your team. And in this video, I want to talk about why most advice creates motion instead of momentum, and how to tell the difference, because it's everywhere on social media these days. And spikes are addictive, and that's why they're dangerous, really, because spikes feel like proof. A campaign takes off. A post, it goes viral. Leads jump, sales surge, and for a moment, it feels like validation. Like you cracked something. But here's what most people don't realize. Spikes, they reward novelty. Momentum rewards consistency. Those are two very different feedback loops. When something spikes, it's usually because it was unexpected. Like we're talking new angles, new hook, new incentive, new energy. And that can absolutely be useful. But novelty doesn't teach the market who you are. It just captures attention for a moment. If the spike isn't reinforcing a core idea, it doesn't stack. It disappears. So what happens? You chase the next one. Another hook, another launch, another pivot. And because you're smart and capable, you can keep generating motion. But you're never really building memory. You're building moments. And moments don't accumulate unless they're tied together. That's the trap. Spikes feel like progress, but unless they reinforce the same idea over time, they don't create momentum. They create volatility. And volatility exhausts teams and yourself. It confuses audiences. It makes your brand feel reactive instead of intentional. Momentum, on the other hand, it looks quieter. It looks like saying the same core thing in multiple ways. It looks like reinforcing the same belief across campaigns. It looks like repeating yourself before you're comfortable doing so. And that can be harder. That is harder. Because it doesn't give you the same dopamine hit as a spike does. But over time, it does something spikes can't do. It builds familiarity. And familiarity compounds. So, what actually compounds? What turns motion into momentum? 3 things: clarity, consistency, and connection. All right, let's start with the first one. Clarity is the foundation. If your audience can't explain what you stand for, nothing compounds. You can run brilliant ads. You can write like the sharpest copy. You can optimize endlessly. But if every initiative points in a slightly different direction, there's nothing for the market to attach to. Clarity is what allows repetition to mean something. Consistency is what gives your clarity weight. Not consistency in posting necessarily, consistency in messaging, consistency in your worldview, consistency in what you emphasize and what you ignore. When your campaigns reinforce the same idea, when your content supports the same belief, when your decisions reflect the same standards, that's when something starts stacking. And now, connection is what locks it in. When customers begin using your language back to you, when they describe you in ways that mirror your intent, when your reputation starts forming without you constantly redefining it, that is compounding. And it's not explosive, it's accumulative. And here's how you know when it's building. Here's how you know when you're building it. Your marketing starts to feel simpler. Not easier in terms of effort, simpler in terms of direction. When you're not constantly asking, what should we try next? You're asking, how do we reinforce what we already know is true? That is momentum. It's when your previous work makes your next move stronger. It's when the market starts doing some of the work for you. When familiarity reduces friction. When your brand becomes a shortcut in someone's mind. That doesn't happen through isolated wins. It happens through aligned repetition. And that's the difference between marketing that moves and marketing that builds. If your marketing constantly needs a new angle to feel alive, that's a sign it isn't compounding. Because compounding doesn't require reinvention. It requires reinforcement. That doesn't mean you never test. It doesn't mean you ignore tactics. And it doesn't mean you avoid growth. It means your growth has a spine. It means your campaigns don't exist in isolation. They stack. They support each other. They build a clearer and clearer picture over time. The brands that win long term aren't the ones who discover something new every month. They're the ones who stay aligned long enough for the market to recognize them without explanation. That's momentum. It's quieter than a spike. It's slower than a trend. But it's stronger. Because when your marketing compounds, you don't have to start over every quarter. You're building something that remembers itself. And when that happens, your brand stops reacting to the market and it starts shaping it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.